Hi again. It's Barbara Degenhardt back to talk to you about the Psuche model. In the first video clip, we talked about some definitions of feeling and emotion, about psychology and the soul, and about some of the trouble that emotions give us, and at the possibility that a map could help us understanding and handling our feelings and emotions. And in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the 8 characteristics that can be said about all feelings and emotions, okay? So I'm proposing in this second video clip that there are 8 properties of emotions, and this will help you get set up for understanding the Psuche model. All of our feelings and emotions are neutral, they are nameable, they are temporary, they are dual, they are organized, simultaneous, energetic, and color-coded. So those are the 8 characteristics. I'm just going to quickly go through each one of those in turn. The first property is feelings are neutral. They're neither good nor bad. Each feeling or emotion, doesn't matter which one you name, serves a necessary function and gives us valuable information. An emotion in and of itself is merely an impulse. It only becomes negative when it's coupled with negative thoughts, negative words, or negative actions. So let's take the one with the worst reputation, anger. It's neutral. When it's coupled with negative thoughts like judgment, negative words like criticism, or negative actions like aggression, then anger becomes bad. But if feelings of anger at a threat, a legitimate threat, result in a good desire for justice or taking action in one way or another for protection, then the same feeling of anger is actually good. So anger itself is neutral, and so are all of our emotions, and that'll become clear to you as we go along. Similarly, our so-called positive emotions might feel positive and pleasant, but they only become good, actually, when they're paired with positive thoughts, positive words, or positive actions. Feelings that feel unpleasant, like fear, are usually the problem. We call those negative, but really they are neutral. There is a positive kind of fear as well. So even the most negative feelings have a meaning, a purpose, and a logic to them. They are only problematic when we haven't yet learned how to identify and manage them. So feelings are neutral. Property number 2, feelings are nameable. You can name them, any one of them. Simply identifying or finding a word for inner turmoil can have a calming effect. Multiple words is good too, but a single word is the best way to go. Naming or giving language to our inner experience and expressing it helps regulate strong negative feelings like anxiety, anger, or sadness. Not knowing what's happening in the external world results in confusion, which leads to stress. Similarly, not knowing what's happening in the internal world results in confusion, which leads to stress. Knowing results in clarity and stress reduction. Knowledge is power. Truth is light. Some people find that the simple exercise of expanding vocabulary for their inner experience increases emotional health. Adding words to an emotion list was actually the way I got started on this project many years ago. When I first started working in psychotherapy, I used to come across handouts that other therapists had made that listed emotion words on them. And so I began to collect those and filed them away. And one summer I took out all those lists and decided to put the words together into one list and alphabetize them. And I noted the categories and I rearranged them. Categories like mad and sad and glad and bad on one of the lists, and many others. And then I discovered some patterns and created some new categories. As time went on, I added the new feeling words that I came across in my collection. Now I have over 1,400 single words that could be used to describe how a person is feeling. Making semantic decisions between the ways we're feeling helps us to understand and therefore manage feelings. So feelings are nameable. The third property is that feelings are temporary. Temporary is referring to just the fact that they come and go, right? We always have feelings, but the feelings that we're feeling at any given time come and go. They can last moments, like when I catch a whiff of garbage walking by on the street. Ew, disgust. They can last minutes, like when I spill a drink on my shirt right before I'm heading out for an important meeting. Frustration. But within a few minutes, I get over that feeling. Emotions can last hours sometimes, like when I have a nice, long conversation with the daughter that I haven't talked to for a while or heard from in a while. Satisfaction is the feeling out of that one. Feelings can even last days, like when I attend a milestone celebration with family and friends, and then even a few days later, I'm still remembering the conversations and the happy banter between the friends and family, remembering the details. And I have some exhilaration still remembering all of those happy moments in that celebration. Now, following traumatic incidents or loss, feelings of sadness or anger or distress can last weeks or sometimes months or sometimes years or even decades, as I'm sure many of us realize. No matter whether feelings last moments or days or years, they typically do return to their baseline after a period of time, plus, in especially more negative circumstances or more extreme circumstances, processing. So time allows us to work it through and sort it out and eventually put it behind if it's negative. It's this combination of time plus processing which performs a regulating function for emotions. But emotions are temporary. You'll never experience them forever without regulation being possible. Okay, that was property 3. Property 4 is feelings are dual. Feelings occur in pairs of opposites. So if you can name a positive feeling, you can also name one or more opposite negative feeling words and vice versa. So there's sad and its opposite happy. There's disappointed and its opposite, which might be satisfied. There's fear and hope. There's hatred and love. Disgust and desire. Shame and pride, etc. You can go on and on. In fact, you can probably come up with several opposite words for any one feeling word. So, for example, with sadness, you could think its opposite is happiness or joy or feeling good or feeling up or high. So feelings are dual. They are coupled. They are binary. If something good happens and we feel happy for a while, eventually we'll return to a normal, neutral state. If something bad happens and we feel sad, eventually, again, we'll return to that same neutral state. So human resilience is based on this ability that we have, this innate natural ability to return to balance or a regulated place following experiences that evoke strong negative or positive feelings. So on the maps here you can see the middle line is the baseline and the positive and negative feelings are arranged above and below that. But don't look too closely at the map right now. So property 5, we're looking at the 8 characteristics. Number 5 is that feelings are organized, okay? They belong in a logical system. Your feelings are your operating system. Describing that system is what this Psuche series is about. Feelings can be ordered according to a cognitive structure with 7 categories based on things like what they're triggered by, what they're based on, what their focus is, how their levels of intensity are determined, etc. A few years ago, I came across the book, The Cognitive Structure of Emotions, The Cognitive Structure of Emotion, by 3 authors, Ortoni, Clore, and Collins. And I have that book on my shelf. You can look it up. I would recommend it to you because it confirmed to me the essential and interdependent link between thinking and feeling. You can't think without feeling, you can't feel without thinking. We talked about that in the last clip. And categories of feeling must be arranged in some kind of cognitive structure for them to make sense. For mobility and for fulfillment of purpose, there's got to be the coupling happening there. So, as I mentioned, this Psuche model is a kind of taxonomy, a way of naming and categorizing and organizing our feelings to better understand and benefit from them. Feelings make a lot more sense when you realize that they follow a logical, orderly, predictable system. Predictability is huge. We really need that. Helps us a lot to know that feelings are organized. But if feelings are organized, then how come they sometimes feel so disorganized? The answer to that may lie in the answer to this next question. Can you experience more than one feeling at a time? Well, most of us would say immediately yes. So that brings us to property number 6, which is that feelings can be simultaneous. Ever had mixed feelings? Or have you ever felt overwhelmed or confused? That might have been because more than one feeling system was being activated at once. And so therefore you had system overload, so to speak. Similarly, when we have conflicting feelings or feel conflicted, it's probably because a number of feeling systems are being triggered and it's causing inner confusion. And resolution often comes simply by allowing time for the feelings to be sorted out, which often naturally happens through cognitive processes seeking to order and clarify and sequence and find meaning in our events. Some time ago, I'll give you a personal example. After traveling with other people, I arrived home feeling terrible. I was stressed, angry, down, confused, not the kinds of feelings you want to have after vacation. So I pulled out my Psuche map and took some time to identify the feelings that had been activated by various circumstances and dynamics with the different people on the trip. A few days later, once I figured out the conflicting expectations, the miscommunications, the uncertainties of travel, the context, the things that had contributed to the overload, my negative feelings about the trip and the people on it, including myself, were resolved and I felt back to normal. So it was also useful to talk it through. You can read that rant or event with another trusted person. In that case, it was my husband. But working through those simultaneous feelings by allowing it time and giving it an opportunity to get processed through allows our feelings to return to normal. But feelings can be simultaneous, and that's what creates a lot of our confusion. So property number 7, feelings are energy. So we know that feelings are what motivate us and move us and energize us, and therefore they are energy. We know intuitively that feelings have higher and lower energy levels. For example, is gratitude high or low energy feeling? It's probably a low energy feeling, right? It's more of a, like satisfaction is low energy feeling and relief has a lower energy. You feel more calm, even when I say those words, possibly. On the other hand, feelings like anger and disappointment and fear have higher energy with more restlessness and agitation associated with them. Desire, which is a positive one, has higher energy than disgust, which is the negative one, negative feeling in the same system. And joy has higher energy than sadness. Feelings, as we've said, can be arranged in pairs of positive and negative opposites. And I'll say that each pair has its own energy level. Feelings are energy, but if feelings are energy, then we could say that they behave like light, which is energy. And I like to see or talk about feelings as light because it makes so much sense. Light is energy. Light breaks into the color spectrum, and color is energy. And so that brings us to property 8, which is that feelings can be color-coded. Years ago, somebody said, there's this new movie out and they've got the emotions color-coded. Sounds like a little bit what you're doing. And I kind of panicked and realized that that film, Inside Out, that is the film that was made for kids, Inside Out, actually had color-coded emotions. And it's true, you can color-code emotions. The color-coding they use is a little bit the same and a little bit different than what I've come up with, but feelings can be color-coded. Since they're essentially energy, they can be arranged along the visible light spectrum in order from infrared-ish pink through red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, all the way around to ultraviolet. So how about color coding our feelings? Let's do it. And we'll do it for each of the 7 dimensions on the Psuche model. And maybe you can see already, but try not to look. What color is anger? Most people seem to agree that anger is red. Across cultures even. Like blood. We know feelings are dual, so let's assume that anger's opposite, which is honor, is also red. And I actually don't have anger on there. I've got disapproval. Disapproval and approval are the 2 on that same anger and honor system. So the positive and the negative are both red. Apparently red is the second most favorite color of people around the world, interestingly, after blue. So, now, what color is sadness? Most people seem to agree that sadness is blue, like blues music. And since feelings are paired, the opposite of sadness, happiness, is also blue, like a brilliant sky on a sunny day. And apparently blue is that favorite color of approximately 40% of the world's population. It's a happy color, right? Makes sense. So anger and sadness are easy. Now, what about fear? What color is fear? And I've asked around actually on some of these, and some people say it's yellow, which is associated with cowardice in some languages. Fear's opposite in our dual system, hope, is also yellow. Interesting, because the sun kind of on that sunny day is yellow, which signifies hope in many cultures. And interestingly, also the painter Vincent van Gogh said that yellow is wonderful, or how wonderful yellow is. It stands for the sun. Leave it to a painter to know their colors. So now the fourth system, or the fourth emotion that we want to color code is hatred. Okay, hatred is green. Think of envy. And Dr. Seuss's mean Grinch character was green, right? But hatred's opposite, love, is also green, like trees, which are sources of life, sustenance, and healing. Love heals. We know that. Imagine that. Love is green. Disappointment is orange, like rust and fall leaves. Its opposite, satisfaction, is also orange, like a rich sunset, and the sweetness of fruit, peaches, or my favorite mangoes. And disgust, the negative on the purple system, is purple. Disgust is purple, like bruising and death. Apparently villains in movies are usually colored purple or green, like that Grinch, or like this disgusting color, which is actually in its opposite, the opposite of disgust. Desire is also purple, like grapes and figs and royal robes. How interesting that the opposites, both of them, can have the same color coding. So now we're into the center section. Shame is black, like a hole. Its opposite, dignity, is white, like light, shining and radiant. And I did say it was light that sort of is the center of this color spectrum. So the light is the dignity part there. And then rejection is pink, like embarrassed cheeks, and its opposite, acceptance, is also pink, like a bouquet of roses and the warmth of infrared. And then incompetence is violet, like pollution. Its opposite, competence, is also violet, like fields of lavender and the purple of ultraviolet. Now, I've gone into some detail, and it may be debatable in terms of assigning those colors, but the color coding will help with our Psuche map, and you can see what you think. Feelings can be color-coded. That's the eighth characteristic or property of our feelings. They are, as we've said, also, to review, neutral, nameable, temporary, dual, organized, simultaneous, and they are energy. So, once, as I just close off with this clip now, a few years ago, while I was pondering the fact that emotions are related to energy, motivation, and movement, I realized that many things, or maybe anything, that moves on the earth shares similar structural features. Whether insects or mammals or humans or trains or cars, to move forward, they all have to have some sort of legs or wheels, and also a power source, and a few other things as well, of course. I was excited the day I discovered that feeling systems can be compared quite nicely with vehicular systems. So after some research and further thinking, I found that in terms of function, our feelings can be lined up quite nicely with an automobile's systems, including its transmission, combustion chamber, exhaust, accelerator, steering, brakes, and suspension. So I'm going to give you more information on that in the videos coming up, but I just wanted to let you know that because that will help with our map, and it'll give you perhaps a visual that is helpful as we go forward. So in this video, we've looked at how all of our feelings are neutral, nameable, dual, temporary, organized, simultaneous, energetic, and color-coded. And in the next few videos now, I'm going to go into describing each one of the 7 dimensions of emotion on the Psuche model in turn. I'll show you how every human emotion fits into just one of the systems because they're cognitively arranged. And I'll give you the specialized function of each one and describe some of its characteristics and explain how it operates. So I hope you'll stay tuned, and thanks for joining me, and bye for now.